So today's Friday office hours, we are going to focus on researcher engagement in the community forum. We hope that will excite you to kind of learn more about opportunities amongst the broader researcher workbench community, how to connect with other researchers, and specific opportunities we have for you to do that. I do have one quick announcement before I begin our session today. So you guys should have received an email if you're a registered researcher about a lunch and learn opportunity coming up on June 18th. And this will be demonstrating some multi-omics data. And so we have a few subject matter experts that will be joining us, and they're going to facilitate how to basically add your self-reported surveys and looking at risk calculations, how to combine the wearable data, and looking at a specific use case of wearable data with chronic disease, and then just understanding and categorizing the landscape of US-based, clinical trial eligibility. There's some work done by Dr. Kathy Shear that she'll present to you. So if you are interested in joining, please scan the QR code. I will note that space is limited to 350 attendees. And if you are selected to attend, you'll be notified via email of your registration status. So just keep a lookout. That being said, the event will be recorded. So if you're unable to make it, we'll have a recording of that session. So here's our agenda for today's presentation. We're going to start with Sydney McMaster on going of an overview of researcher engagement outreach partners. I think this is going to be a great thing to highlight because you all see us here at the Data and Research Center, but we have many, many consortium partners that help keep the workbench doing well, that help us have curriculum, that help us just navigate utilizing the workbench for research purposes. She's also going to share some upcoming events or resources offered by our partners. I'm going to do a quick overview of the community forum so that if you're new to the researcher workbench, you may not be aware that we do have a community forum. And then based on that, Dr. Caitlin Dreisbach will provide her feedback and use cases of how we could utilize the community forum from a researcher lens. And with that being said, I am going to go over our speakers today. I'm so very thankful to have them both here. So we'll start with Dr. Dreisbach. Caitlin is an assistant professor at the University of Rochester. She's also a wonderful member of our community advisory board for the Researcher Workbench. She has used All of Us for quite some time and has been an All of Us research program ambassador. Her research focus uses quantitative methods to make clinical assessments during pregnancy. And she's interested in the health of women over the course of their lifetime. So she's a great resource for us and was a wonderful use case for using the community forum. And then another colleague that I want to introduce is Sydney McMaster. Sydney and I have the privilege to work closely with each other for researcher engagement and outreach. She is a program officer with the NIH, specifically for the All of Us research program, and has been for over 3 years. Sydney and I actually started All of Us around the same time, so we're really excited, and we know each other well. And in that position, she really functions as a liaison between the researcher community and the national program, offering support, technical assistance, thinking through how we can engage with researchers more. And then prior to her role, she served as a public health analyst with the Health Resources and Services Administration, or HRSA, for 3 years. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to you, Sydney.
Awesome. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. I'm Sydney. Thank you, Sam, for that wonderful introduction. And thank you for the opportunity to be here today. I have a whopping 4 slides to go over, so let's buckle down and keep going. Next slide, please. So within the Federal Coordinating Center of the All of Us Research Program, there is the Division of Engagement and Outreach, also known as DEO. And within DEO, we have, or the scope of DEO is really to engage current and prospective participants, so those within the program, in addition to the communities that they come from across the nation, tribes, and then researchers. And the branch that engages researchers is called the Researcher Engagement and Outreach Branch, also known as REO. We love our acronyms in the government, if you haven't noticed. We focus on building bidirectional relationships with researchers and their communities. And we have a span of all career stages, from high school all the way up to established investigators and beyond, and institution types. And this is really focusing across the entire nation because our researchers come from all over the world. Our goal is to develop a very broad researcher community that is actively using the All of Us dataset to advance health research across a variety of health topics. Next slide, please. So we accomplish this goal by funding a variety of program partners across the nation. So these partners range from academic institutions or nonprofits that have deep connections within their local communities. We also have some research institutes among other types of institutions. And you may have participated in a training or a program or something coming from one of these logos on the screen. Each of these logos currently have an active award with the national program. And so when Sam was introducing me as a program officer, part of my role, along with others on my team, is to meet regularly with these program awardees, give them feedback on their milestones or the activities that they're doing in researcher engagement. Next slide, please. So these milestones or these different types of activities that they're funded to do range from targeted technical assistance on the workbench to train the trainers. So training researchers how to go out and train other researchers to use the workbench. They also have in-person summits and boot camps on certain types of data, in addition to focusing on institutional outreach. So building relationships with institutions, getting more data user and registration agreements with institutions. And then they also sometimes host internships or fellowships for undergrad and grad students to educational materials and different assets that the program can use when we engage researchers. So these include trainings, videos, recordings, and you may see some coming out soon on SAS on the Workbench. And my last slide, I'm going to call out two specific opportunities. So the first of which is the Biomedical Researcher Faculty Summit. This is hosted by Baylor College of Medicine, and it's been hosted for the last 4 years. And if this was before last week, I would be able to tell you more about it, but it actually concluded on the 17th, so just a few days ago. So I don't have a lot of outcomes from it yet, but I am showing you this as an example of a type of in-person, in-depth training that our partners host. There was 36 scholars from 29 different institutions across the country that came, and Baylor hosts this on their college camp or their college campus in Houston. So all of the scholars come to Houston for a couple of days and do anything from beginning registration on the Workbench all the way to creating these team science approaches and finding out their research question and working in a group together. And then following this summit, they have a year-long program of professional development opportunities for these researchers. So they're working in multidisciplinary teams, working on the same research project with the goal to publish and share findings at conferences. While next year's is not confirmed yet, and it's not accepting applications, more opportunities do come from our different partners. And so as they do, I'm very intentional with keeping Sam and the DRC team up to date so that we can get these announcements out to all of the registered researchers. So now that you've seen the logos and you know who we are, hopefully when you see more opportunities coming, you know what they're talking about. And then the last opportunity that I'm going to share is something that you can currently register for. This is the All of Us Friday Morning Coffee Series. This is hosted by Ignite through Northwell Health, another funded program partner. And these are, I think, every 3 weeks or so sessions on Friday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern. And they range from getting started in the Workbench to the different types of data types. Sometimes very specific guest lectures come on different research topics. It really depends on the needs of researchers that go. And the one coming up is on June 6th, and this is going to be an open Q&A session. So that concludes my whopping 4 slides. Thank you, Sam. And I will make a note that with the funding being cut across the government over the last couple of months, as I'm sure you're all aware of, we don't have a lot of currently open opportunities for researchers, but we're currently going through the renewal cycle for a lot of our partners. So we will be around next year. Don't worry, and we will have more opportunities coming. And so, like I said earlier, as they come, I'll be sure to share them with Sam. Thanks, Sam. I'll hand it over to you.
Thanks, Sydney. So now that we just gave you guys an overview of what the researcher engagement and outreach division is doing at program, I wanted to highlight a few ways of opportunities that we facilitate here at the Data and Research Center, specifically the community forum. So I want to provide an overview of the community forum, which is currently available on the User Support Hub. So you might be asking, well, what is the community? So the community is a forum feature that provides space for you all to collaborate. You can ask questions, learn from others, find other collaborators to add on the researcher workbench, and to share resources. We wanted to provide you a venue in which you can interact with other workbench users. So the community is organized into some main forum topic areas. These are topics that we generated to kind of get you started. So we have a welcome to the community tile. It has all the information you need to know about how to utilize the community correctly to include specific policies and guidelines. I'll show you in a moment, but once you log into the User Support Hub using your @research@allofus.org username, the rest of the community topics will populate for you. That includes something called Find a Collaborator. That is the goal of if you have a project and you're looking for someone specific to assist you with certain portions of your project, you can find a collaborator there. You can also share a resource. Let's say that you created something that was very helpful for your workspace and want to share it with other researchers. You can do that. You can also ask the community. This is a great space if you have more of a scientific or methodology question to see what other researchers are doing. And then lastly, we have a very specific space for genomic data. Those who are doing genomic analysis, there is some specialized things using the genomic data set that we thought would be nice to have as its own topic. So in order to participate in the community on the User Support Hub, you do need to log in with your @research.allofus.org account. This is the username that you're using when you log into the Researcher Workbench. We do also ask that you complete all your data access requirements prior to logging into the community forum. We also ask that you follow the guidelines for community forum use, which is housed under the Welcome to the Community tile. So just take some time to review it to ensure that when you're interacting with other Workbench users, that we have a fair and equitable environment of the forum. So once you log in, as you can see here on this GIF to your right, then you'll go from one tile to the other tiles that you'll be able to see under the community forum. You're able to explore community topics, comments that people have left, or if you see a question that someone has that you're able to answer, we highly encourage you to answer that question as a comment. So in order to make a post within the community forum, you'll just go down to the bottom and say make post or new post at the bottom. You'll write the title and details of your post. Again, please be sure to go to the welcome to the community to see the structure of how you should post. Select the best section that describes your post. So for example, let's say I am a researcher that's looking for a biostatistician at my institution. I would then make a title saying searching for a biostatistician for a funded project in this workspace. And then you could select the topic, find a collaborator, and that's where the post would go. Then you can select submit, and then you can come back and edit the post as you need. When you receive a comment, you should be able to get some notifications to your email. Sometimes it goes to spam that someone has commented on your post. It will come from support@researchallofus.org. So why is the community important? So as the Researcher Workbench community grows, we are at over 15,000 users of the Workbench, which is very exciting for us. We wanted to provide avenues of collaboration because we do understand collaborating with other Workbench users is essential to advancing precision medicine. So having the community is just the venue, as I mentioned, and space for you to connect with other researchers. It was feedback that we've gotten in several different ways that, hey, I just want to have somewhere to go to find other people. And that's what we want to highlight that you can do here. So we do encourage you to do knowledge sharing, collaboration, and learning by using the community forum. So these are some possible use case questions that we hope that the community forum could answer. So if you have study design questions, that would be a great thing to post. And if people post study design questions and you're an expert in that field, we highly recommend that you comment on the post and give your opinion or expert resources. So like, for example, I want to study an incident, new events of anxiety due to GLP-1 agonist use. I created a cohort that contains, this medication or this disease, and I need to make sure that this is going to be the correct way to make the cohort. I just want to have assistance doing that correctly for my study design. That would be something that if you're an expert in the field or if you're also working on something similar, you can chime in and see more on the post. We also get a lot of data science specific questions. While most come to our help desk and we can help you where we can, sometimes it's just about using the correct syntax, or you need to learn some things more. So the community is a great way that if you are looking for a good package or if someone else has done something, saying, hey, I'm thinking about filtering the Hale table this way. Has anyone come into any errors or noticed this? That would be a great place to post. And then the last thing is, which I've already mentioned, is the opportunity to collaborate with other Workbench users. So now that I've given an overview of the forum, I just want to give some background on our next part of the presentation. Dr. Caitlin Dreisbach is a member of our community advisory board, and as part of that, we did ask for some feedback on the use case of the community and how researchers might utilize it. And so she's going to provide her experience of going through the community, making posts, and ways that it could be advantageous for you. And I will let you take it away, Caitlin.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. Yeah, as I was brought this topic to the Community Advisory Board, I got really excited about it. As someone who is an active researcher, but also I would consider myself to be a data scientist, I'm constantly looking for ways to, identify problems and troubleshoot problems and look to others who have maybe experienced some of those similar issues. And so through that process have been introduced to these community forums and community topics, really what I think as a way to envision the future of helping to support researchers on the workbench. So my lens coming into this is, as mentioned, I'm a community advisory board member where I, as a researcher, am helping the data, the DRC, to really give on the ground issues and help to identify opportunities where researchers can hopefully do research easier and with more opportunity to collaborate with each other. I'm also and was previously an All of Us research ambassador. So my role there was to really help to support researchers to do the best work within the workbench. So that's helping to not only overcome the learning curve of the workbench, but also to help to connect each other to some really fun projects. I personally have been doing research in the workbench for about 3 or 4 years now, mostly centered around projects in reproductive health, pregnancy specifically, and aging over the life course. So by way of being on the advisory board and actually doing the research myself in the workbench, I've really come to this point of wanting to share resources that my team and my collaborative teams have built specifically to help researchers do and analyze data in All of Us, but also to help to find avenues for just general support. So I think sort of like a Stack Overflow mindset of where even for very small type issues that we can help each other to overcome them. You can go to the next slide. So first, I want to say that it's just super easy to create a post. Sam had that great little GIF in that video in her former slide, but it's super easy to create new posts and respond to others in a very dynamic way. And this platform really is perfect to share practical strategies, troubleshoot those technical barriers, and learn from other researchers' analytic pipelines or even the way that they've structured their project. Because of the learning curve, and probably many on this call can already appreciate this, because of the learning curve, it can be hard to kind of get to the point where you feel operational in the workbench. And what I'm hoping is that many of these posts we can help each other to overcome that. What's great, I'm a tenure track researcher and, a researcher who's looking to sort of quantify the metrics that I have, not just in more formal, publications and disseminations, but also how I'm helping to support others in research avenues. The snapshot on the right is actually from my community forum profile, which I think is really cool to see dynamically how many posts I've been able to do and how I've been able to help to support folks in this forum. If you could go to the next slide. It's also super easy to respond to an existing post. On the right is actually one, this was several months ago now, but on ways that I could help to support someone to identify the right package or packages to help them to characterize their data. So by responding to queries and offering insights, researchers really can help to build a more responsive and peer-supported environment. Our user support hub in All of Us is amazing. But I think offering opportunities for peer-to-peer support could be a really nice adjunct to help research move forward more efficiently. This user interface, as I mentioned on the past slide, really does allow you to quantify your engagement with your peers and other collaborators. If you could go to the next slide. In total, myself and my research team, as well as a few other collaborating groups at the University of Pittsburgh, we've built several tools to help researchers actually use the data in All of Us. Here on this slide is actually one of them. We've extended an algorithm that was developed for a different data set to be operationalized in All of Us to identify pregnancy episodes. So this is really important for individuals who are doing reproductive health research, because now all of a sudden we're not just using the outcome of delivery to sort of reference the entire period of pregnancy. We can map that entire window and develop a phenotype. So I think what's great about the community forum and the community topics is that now we can share things more dynamically. So as we wait, the long and somewhat tedious process of actually publishing work like this, I can post right on the forum with the GitHub so that folks can use this, more immediately. And, as listed on the bottom in bold, so that I can sort of solicit feedback from peers who are using the Workbench. So I think this just has significant potential to be more than just like a Q&A platform, but also a place to share methods, build connections, and again, just generally support each other using the Workbench.
Thank you, Caitlin, so much.
Yeah.
So I do want to have a small call of action to those on the call or who will be watching the recording. I think one area that we could use your help is there are several posts on the community currently that could use a response that I think would be great for any of you who are an expert. So if you're not sure if you want to post, go in and explore the current posting or topics to see if there was anywhere that you could provide a resource in the same way that Caitlin did. And that's where we can start the momentum of that collaboration between researchers. And it also helps the All of Us Research Program and the DRC learn as you all have that peer-to-peer interaction. I do want to highlight one more opportunity, and that's called self-published workspaces. And this is really taken off. So if you've noticed, the end of last year, or around August of last year, we opened up something called the community workspace under featured workspaces. And we have so many there now. But if you weren't aware, I do want to share that with you all. So you are able to publish your workspace directly in the researcher workbench. Where is this really nice? So as Dr. Dreisbach noted, if she has a workspace that not only has the Git information, but she could also publish it, then you get a full circle moment of here's the workspace, here's the Git information, and here's the topic and the point of contact for it. So you can see all of those moving pieces at once. So we do have that available. It's on the community workspaces under featured workspace page. It also gives you the opportunity to see what other Workbench users are doing, looking at their code and methodology. SQL, for example, everyone has different syntax. Some people live by this and some people live by that. So it's really nice to see other examples outside of our team. So how can you publish your workspace? It's very easy. If you're a workspace owner, you have the opportunity to publish your workspace directly in the About section of your workspace. You'll go to the button About, and that will show you the description of your workspace. And then on that right-hand side, you'll see Publish. You must be an owner of the workspace. If you have multiple owners of your workspace, we do highly recommend you talk with your collaborators to ensure that they want it to be published before you do. And then once you do that, you'll get the next screen, which is a pop-up, just asking you to confirm and attest to some things about publishing your workspace. That includes that your description doesn't have any harmful discriminatory language, the same way that we have with all of our other policies, that it includes the appropriate contact information, because let's say someone wants to email you or discuss your workspace. I want them to have the opportunity to figure out who that is. Again, that third bullet is confirming your collaborators gave permission that you are going to share the workspace, and then you can click all of those, and then you can select publish. And it will automatically refresh on the featured workspace page, so it's very immediate. Now, a couple things. If you publish the workspace, you can still continue to work in it, and as you make live updates in your workspace, those will be reflected on the community workspace tile. Other Workbench users don't have writer or owner access, meaning nothing will be charged when they're viewing your workspace. They only have reader access, so that does give them the opportunity to duplicate the workspace, but they can't edit the original workspace in any way. So that's another opportunity for you all to get engaged. And that being said, that concludes our presentation of engagement, researcher engagement opportunities, whether that's happening within program or here at the Data and Research Center. And thank you, Caitlin, for providing your feedback.